We're going to talk about a lot of things you can put in your bag of tricks today. Do you guys remember the listening activity that I did with you? I wouldn't do it with kindergarten. I have never done it. Have I done it with first graders? I've done it with second graders a lot. I don't know that I've done it with first graders. You'd have to modify it quite a bit, but that's an easy one. I put it on the in the share drive. You can print that out if you want to. It's called active listening, but all of the, so you don't have to be wondering, do I have a move a piece from 1 to 4 or 4 to 3, the way that we did. It's already said there for you. But all you have to do is have them make a game board, which any piece of paper at the school, they can make the 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you just need to have paper that they can rip up to make markers. So it's really easy to have in your bag of tricks. Even if you're not sure how many students you have, you go get 15 pieces of colored paper in the production lab, you cut them in half, and then you're ready to go. Okay, so today, look and see, we're going to do a lot of things that you can take with you so that you're not, when we walk in, you're not going, I didn't plan anything for the next hour. We're like, oh, you're going to have a fun hour. So just, make sure you've got something with you so you don't have those panicking moments. We are going to do our Big 5 presentations now. So, whoops, sorry guys. Let's turn off that song. Sorry back there, Johnny. Okay, we're gonna start with, let's start with phonemic awareness. Who's our phonemic awareness group? Okay. Oh yes, sorry. You'll see it either way in research. Come on up and share it with us. You guys pay attention. Some of these, if you're going to be in like a younger setting, you might be able to say, I want to stick that in my bag of tricks to take with my group. So just kind of tell us again definition, why it's important, and then share some ideas that you have.
So the definition of phonological awareness is the ability to recognize and manipulate spoken parts of words. The level of phonological awareness are from simplest to complex. Syllables, onset rhyme, and phonemes. Phonological awareness is the ability to identify and manipulate individual sounds in spoken words. And we know that a student's skill in phonological awareness is a good predictor of later reading success or difficulty.
So the importance of phonological awareness is the foundation of reading, obviously. It improves children's word reading and reading comprehension, as well as helping children to learn to spell. It's also the basis for learning phonics. So even before students learn to read, we can predict with a high level of accuracy whether the students will be a good reader or a poor reader by the end of 3rd grade.
So some activities that we came up with. First one is like helping recognize beginning sounds of words. So what it is, on the idea, you have a little card with a picture on it, and the first letter is missing, and they know what the word is because there's a picture. So like an example would be there's a cat, and so they have to think, I need a k sound, and so they have to find like a clothespin with a C, or they might even put a K just because they're trying to recognize that first sound. Another activity that can help is for younger grades, maybe preschool or kindergarten, or maybe even 1st grade. It's called Animal Breakfast, and you have a bunch of animals and like different objects. They don't necessarily need to be food, but you feed the animal with the same sounding words. So elephant, you would feed an egg because they both start with that egg sound. And like a cat, you feed cake because they both have that beginning sound.
Yeah. You can also alter that one middle sound and ending sound as well for more advanced.
Yeah.
And then another one is a medial sound, which is like a lot harder than ending and beginning. So like you have these cards and it has a picture of a word and it has a word written out and it says to change the middle sound from like bag, you want to change the a to and it makes bug. So just changing those sounds. The next one is segmentation. So it has like different lessons to go over, like how many sounds are in this word, like bow, o, and so on. And then the last one I had was syllables. You can have students count the syllables in words. And it includes all the ones that I have, they're all free from like different websites, and it says it in the Google Drive too, and it has links. But it has several activities for like breaking down and classifying words by their syllables.
So the 2 that I picked were ones that you can make up or do on your own. I also had this from last semester that we used, and I loved it. So this one is Hangman, but with younger kids, instead of doing, and it's magnet, so you can use it on a magnet board, you can use it in a little box. So instead of doing like, what are the letters, I use the sounds. So like for the first one, I would do their name. So my nephew Marcus, I put So what makes the sound? And you could guess the letter M. So with these ones, I started out really simple and and set them up for success, and then we got more advanced with those, but using the sounds instead of just the letters and guessing the letters.
Or her knowledge of letter-sound relationships and accurately read words. Sorry.
One of the activities we came up with was having a blends race. So divide the class into 2 teams and give them a blend, and then set a timer and have them come up with as many words as they can with that blend. You can even do it with single sounds. So I give them the sound of G and have them write sentences that include that sound, as many as they can. Another activity was tongue twisters and nonsense words. Just provide them with a variety of tongue twisters and nonsense words and have them read aloud to each other, and which it forces them to enunciate their words more.
Okay, and then another one, I use this all the time in online tutoring. It's called Build a Word, and you can make it as simple as you want. You can just write the word on the board, or you can have letter cards to do it, and so you just choose like a 3-letter word, and the students have different letters that they can build it with, or they can go up and just change a letter and create a new word. And then the next one is Digital Phonics. It's a website, and the teacher has it so you can use Google Slides or Seesaws, and it has all sort of phonic activities that teach long letter sounds, digraphs, and blends. Okay, so I found it's a lesson plan about CH words, and the objective is to have students learn 3 different ways to pronounce that 2-letter combination, and to learn the pronunciation of the frequently used words containing CH by heart. And then I also found some poems about R blends, and so they use R blends with words that have like FR, GR, PR, TR, DR, PR, and CR.
And so mine's called Ugly Bug or Snuggly Bug, and there's a book called Creepy Beetles that you could read, or any rhyming book that has to do with bugs. And students will demonstrate their understanding of rhyming words by creating buggy pictures, so that includes our integration with this activity, and they will create sentences containing rhyming words that have to go along with the topic. It doesn't have to be bugs, it could be anything. The other one is Fun with Phonics. Divide the class into groups and give each group a sheet of paper and give them different materials like magazines, newspapers, scissors, and glue, and have them work to find pictures that have the same consonant as on their paper. So you'll give each group the same, like a sound, like T for tiger, and then they'll list it off and include pictures. So that's also our integration with that. And then they'll share it with the rest of their class, or a peer.
Excellent. Nice job, you guys. And a good idea is you can adjust those for, a lot of times phonics and phonemic awareness and all of those things, they seem like they're more for the kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade. But even like the one, I think Sierra shared it, where you have the blend and then you're seeing how many words. You can do some things like using TI, with older kids, using TI and then make the sh sound. So find how many words you can. They're looking for nation, competition, all those different things, and they have a good time with that too. So you can just adjust those ideas and keep going. Nice job. Let's go vocabulary. What's our vocabulary group close? Again, they're just seem, full of energy this morning. Oh yeah, that's right. All right, go for it, vocabulary.
Okay, so vocabulary refers to the words children must know to communicate effectively. School terms, it can be described as oral vocabulary or reading vocabulary. There is a relationship between vocabulary and comprehension, and can be introduced in new, exciting ways.
Yeah, so it's really important because it's kind of like the building blocks of speech. Like, it's how they're able to like understand written words and spoken words. It also helps them to learn how to express themselves better, which we always want them to be able to tell us how they're feeling and what they believe. It also is how we comprehend text, which is the most important part of reading. And we found a statistic, which is that students need to understand 95% of the words they read in order to understand the text. And like if you've ever learned a foreign language, you've probably had that, where like there's a couple words you don't know and you don't understand any of it. So helping our students build their vocabulary over time, it keeps getting stronger, it's scaffolded, so it'll help them to have a better vocabulary throughout their lives.
Okay, so one fun activity that we found is headbands, but with vocabulary words. So if you guys have ever seen, I don't know, like Ellen has a version of this game also, but they have a plastic headband that can hold a card. And I would split them into groups of maybe 3. And one person will draw a card and they won't know what the word is and they'll put it on their headband. And then the 2 other people in the group would spend time trying to describe that word to the person so that that person can guess what the word is. And I think that that would be a really good review game. I think that, I think it would also be, I think maybe like first grade on up. I think you could do that. I mean, we can do that now with words that I don't know, and I think it would be really fun, so. Sorry, it's on there. I think we're just sharing one.
Oh, okay, yeah. Do you have a shared one?
Mine is called Free Association, which can be adapted for all grade levels. Maybe kindergarten will be it might be a little hard for kindergarten, but first grade should be able to catch on pretty quick. But basically, it's kind of like a web. I tried getting a picture of it, but I couldn't get it to get in the Google Doc, so sorry. But basically, you write a vocab word in the middle, and then the students come up with words that they associate with that vocab word. So if the word is travel, they could do like airplanes as one word, and then they could do cars as another, and then boat and train and subway. And then anything that they think is associated with that word is okay as long as they explain why it's okay. So even like rocket ship, a student might come up with that. Yes, it is a form of transportation. It's not a normal everyday source, but it is one that could work. And you could, for the older grades, you could do 2 vocab words at a time, and see how they can try and connect them into making it like one connection.
Okay, so one of my activities was called Shades of Meaning, and you go to like Walmart and get those paint chips that have like the different stripes of colors that go together. And then you give each kid a word like big, happy, cute, just really basic words that they should know. And then you have them go to the thesaurus and find words that are synonyms. And maybe they're not exact synonyms, but they are related. And so they have this paint chip that they put all their words on, and they can see how they kind of connect. And it helps them to also just have more words in their vocabulary that they can pull from at any time.
Awesome. And all of those are great ideas. Vocabulary is an easy one to put in your bag of tricks, because you'll look and you'll see, I'm teaching this math lesson, or this science lesson, or this English lesson, or whatever it is that you're teaching, and just put a few words on cards. And you can do so much if you get stuck with vocabulary. Who's going to be in kindergarten? The headbands game, I know that one's a fun one. Kids love that, and they love to try and do that with each other, no matter the grade. Kindergarten's tricky, but I saw a kindergarten teacher about 3 years ago, and I thought, that's brilliant. And it's really hard because they're learning to read. But she did one where she had big letter cards, just A, B, C, and she would take one and put it on her head so that the kids knew that she couldn't see it, and they had to spell it with their arms, and she was trying to guess which one it was, and they loved it. I mean, they had a great time. And then she said, oh, do it again, and they're all doing C or whatever, and they're practicing spelling those letters with their arms. So that's a variation. If you're in kindergarten and you're thinking, how would I do that? Then just kind of think, what can I do instead? There was also one, this one was crazy. This teacher had extremely good classroom management, so I don't know that you dare try it. But she would pick 3 or 4 kids, and then she would pick a letter and show just those 3 or 4 kids, and they had to, on the right, they'd spell it with their bodies. So if it was A, they'd have one kid laying this way, and one kid laying this way, and one kid in the middle, and then the other class is trying to guess. Hey, if you don't have good classroom management or you're nervous, don't do that one yet. That one might be a little bit tricky, but there's ways to do it as well. Okay, let's go with fluency. How are fluency people? Come on up.
Sean, you start.
Okay, so we have fluency, and the definition is fluency is the ability to read text accurately and quickly. Fluency also means the smoothness or flow with which sounds, syllables, words, and phrases are joined together when speaking quickly. It bridges word decoding and comprehension. It allows readers to rapidly decode the text while maintaining a high level of comprehension.
So, oh, sorry, you can go.
Okay. The importance of fluency is it's the pathway for simple decoding to comprehension. Without fluency, you cannot comprehend it because you need the accuracy, which is the ability to decode a single word without making a mistake. The automaticity, which is the ability to accurately but effortlessly identify the word. The rate is the speed. We know that if you are struggling to read each word and it takes you 15 seconds to sound out each word in a 5-word sentence, after a minute, you're like, I don't know what I read. I've got to go back over. And then prosody, which is the last one, on reading the context in a smooth, even pace with expression, instead of sounding like a robot. The students will tune you out faster than anything else. Okay, what I found were 2 items. One was the choral reading. This is where multiple readers read the same text. This is a group reading, not a round robin. They can practice reading with the different expression, etc. So like if you take, did you print the cat? Yeah. Okay, sorry I didn't. If you take Hey Diddle Diddle, everybody knows that cute little poem, Hey Diddle Diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow ran, the cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such sport and the dish ran away with the spoon. You have 6 lines, say you have a class of 24. So you break them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, all number 1s. You read the first line, all number 2s the second. And so nobody is reading alone and being embarrassed if they don't quite catch it quick enough. And so everybody can do it, and then you can vary it up and say, okay, let's have numbers 1 and 2 read the first, number 3 and 4. And you can change it as many times as you want. You can give the teacher a separate line. However she wants, they can include it. The other one I did was word family fluency passages, or like the word family strips. You can create silly stories using word families, like you write on the board, the blank at, blank at, blank at, in a blank at. So what could you put in? Well, the cat, the fat cat sat in a hat. You can create all sorts of weird ones for like that. The other one I found were read and cute little respond passages, to where it's a very short, Zach and Jack are ducks, they're green and black. Can we walk in the track, asked Zach. Sure, Zach. I will pack a snack in my sack to eat at the track. Zach and Jack walk to the track and back, eating their snack. Quack, quack, quack. And then they want you to go through, highlight the 3 act words, write them down, and then the students do that 3 times. So each time they can re-highlight in a different color. This gives them the act little family. And you can pick any of them that you want. They have a whole variety online, like you want to do the up. Anyway, it's just something cute that the children can read together or do it as a separate one. And they feel it's silly, it's fun, but they're actually learning.
Okay, and I did aerobics, sorry. And I have the website for that on there, but there's a book that talks about how we need to break words down into syllables instead of letters. And so like, there's a example of incomprehensibly, and so it's broken down into incomprehensibly. And so that's a good one. And then another one is teaching punctuation marks. So non-fluent readers will often read with expressionless voice, ignoring any punctuation marks. So being able to break sentences into appropriate chunks and varying the tone of voice will help the reader and the listeners to more easily comprehend what is being read. So some examples are comma, which is a pause, period, come to a full stop, maybe take a breath. Question mark, usually use your voice. It usually goes up at the end of a question. An exclamation mark, you will be excited or surprised voice. And then I just have 2 books that I included that show how to express your voice through punctuation.
So the ones I found kind of goes along with the punctuation and like voice is Reader's Theater. Reader's Theater is really good because it helps them not only understand like what's going on, so it helps with comprehension, but the fluency is there so that they can practice the fluency, practice expressing themselves. So in the handout, if you want to look at it, it's I gave the true story of the 3 little pigs, and it actually has the Reader's Theater for them. You break them up into all their characters and they can practice together. And the more they practice, the more they'll understand like what's actually going on and their fluency will get better. The other thing I found was like nursery rhymes and music integration. So you use the nursery rhymes and then you use like certain musical instruments. Helps with voice, helps with expression, and helps with rhythm, which is really important with fluency. So yeah.
Give them a round of applause. Nice job, you guys. We're going to do so many things with fluency coming up this semester. It is so fun to teach fluency. Sometimes we get stuck in, it just looks like dibbles, dibbles test. That's boring for kids. We got some fun ways to do it, and these guys have some great ways as well. Last but not least, comprehension. Come on up.
Okay, so the definition for comprehension is reading comprehension is the measurement of the understanding of a passage of text. Comprehension is the reason for reading. If readers can read the words but don't understand what they're reading, they're not really reading.
All right. So without comprehension skills, students can't understand what they read. Comprehension makes reading enjoyable for students. It makes them want to read if they know what they're reading. And it makes them want to continue reading. Comprehension is not only crucial in grade school, but in college or trade school, your everyday life, and your professional life. So if you can't understand what you're reading, you're not really going to be successful in a lot of things. All right, so one of the ideas I had was comprehension Jenga. So you write the question underneath the block, and then you pull the block out and you answer the question. Pretty simple. You could twist that in a bunch of ways, but I thought that was fun.
And one of the ideas I came across was roll and retell. So you just have a different question for each number on a dice. And so then the kids can get in groups and roll a dice, and whatever number they roll, they have to answer that question about what they read.
My idea was actually pretty similar. And you just take a beach ball, and on each section of the beach ball, you write where, why, how, when, main character, just different questions that get them thinking about the story and what they're reading and what's going on. And then you can just toss it around the room, and wherever their thumb lands, they answer that question just to get them thinking about the story.
Awesome. Those are great ideas, and we're gonna focus on comprehension mostly today, so that'll be a good thing too. But the ball one is a fun one to take with you to Canyons. You can go buy I don't know actually right now. Usually you can get a Dollar Tree, just a cheap ball, and you can even write who, what, where, when, why, how. Read a story to them if you have some extra time, throw it around, and they love it. They actually, kindergarten through 6th grade, 7th grade, will love that one. So that's a really fun one. Okay, today we're going to look at shared reading and comprehension strategies. And most of you are becoming great experts at shared reading because that is where we talk about things like CKLA. Who has been able to do a CKLA lesson in their classroom other than Sean? I'm hoping most of you have had a chance to. I know he hasn't.
Does just doing the fluency time test count as the CKLA?
No, I mean, it's part of the program. Yeah, definitely part of the program, but I would say more in the book, more in the book. So no matter where you go, you're going to see different programs, you guys. Obviously, CKLA is the one in the top. You'll see that at GWA. You'll see that obviously in Iron County. You will not see that in Canyons. I have not seen that in any school in the northern half of the state, but you do see it down in the southern half. There's things like Scott Forsman, Houghton Mifflin, Journeys, Treasures. There's lots of different programs. So I just want to show you a little bit. I'm hoping you've seen kind of the manuals with CKLA. You've seen the little books that the kids have, and you're reading the story with them. I've got some of these, and publishers, bless their heart, they send us stuff all the time, and we're never going to buy it because we're not teaching kids. But there's one for about every 3 of you. And I want you just to flip through, and what are you noticing about these shared reading programs that you've got? Just try and, I'm sorry, just in the middle, and I'll actually let you use this one, and I'll scale it back for you.
Really?
Yeah.
So what are you noticing?
That's really familiar.
We had like worksheets, like packets. And I would have like all these I never even thought about it.
Do they base these on standards when they have them broken down in weeks?
They're supposed to.
But we can go through the standards.
What are you noticing in these books, in these manuals, in these teaching manuals?
It has
Yeah, oh, sorry, go ahead.
It has everything planned out for you, like it's like curriculum mapped out already.
Okay, they've mapped out your, what kind of things? I'll let you tell me.
Well, it has like, day one at a glance, but it also has like oral language, word work, comprehension, vocabulary, fluency. It also has like writing and grammar, and like it already has like, all the activities organized.
So you've got your reading, writing, listening, and speaking all in the book. Okay, did anyone else notice that as well? Okay, what else did you notice about these? Yeah, Sean.
So it has a lot, but it's kind of hard to read and
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, it can be, especially some programs are better than others, but some things you think, wow, that's a lot to get through. Who thinks they could get through everything in there that they have for 1 week in 1 week during your language arts time? Morgan gave me a thumbs down. Yeah, probably not, right? We probably are not going to be able to. I know the district that I came from, in the classroom, we were using Journeys, which I think is the one you guys have. I'm not sure, but Journeys. And our district was really good. They would tell us, we want you to make sure you're doing shared reading every week and using the vocabulary to cover that. However, it's not the only vocabulary that you use, and you've got to meet the needs of your students, not just follow the program. So I want you to think about that. This is a good manual. It really sets you up for, this is what we're going to do. I don't have to come up with stories. I don't have to come up with comprehension questions. If you look at the side, if you'll go to one of the stories, find a story in your manual, they'll have little things in the side that will tell you, ask this at this point. This is what we're focusing on. Ask this question at this point. Discuss this here. So you don't have to come up with it, and it's really good. However, this should never take the place of meeting Mad's needs, of meeting Sam's needs, of meeting Bailey's needs. I've got to know my kids and still be able to meet their needs. I wanted to show you this. This is what most programs look like. CKLA, they're the little tiny booklets. Do you guys know what I'm talking about, the little booklets? Most of them look like a big book like this. The teacher obviously has the main one, and the students are seeing just what the teacher is seeing as they're reading through it. But they don't see all the questions on the side. They don't see the numbers in there. Hey, ask this now, ask this now. But they're going through it together. So as the teacher is holding that manual and reading, the kids are seeing the exact same thing, the same pictures, everything. Does that make sense? I want you to kind of be familiar because some of you will use CKLA in your first year of teaching when you get hired, and some of you won't. So I don't want you to panic and go, I've never seen this before. I had no idea that it was anything other than CKLA. And I'm not knocking CKLA. There's pros and cons to every single program. I don't think there's one program that is perfect. There's some that are a little better than others. Judith asked, does it follow your standards, okay? Know that these big publishing companies, yes, they follow standards, but they're saying, hey, this is the book you need in Ohio. Hey, this is the book you need in Utah. Hey, this would work great for Nebraska, New Jersey. This is what you want. So it might not follow it exactly. They're going to follow more national standards than state standards. They're trying to make money. You got to realize that too, okay? All right, go ahead and shut those. And we're going to talk about, you can just pass them down maybe and stick them at the end so they're out of your way, because we're going to have a lot of stuff that we're using today, having a little bit of fun. Okay, you guys, shared reading. This is a good question. Often when you go in for an interview, I've got to sit on a lot of interviews in Nego, I'll be honest, and some in Alpine, some in Provo. But they almost always don't try and see what you're thinking about reading. So what's a book that you've been reading lately? Have one in mind. Oh yeah, actually I just finished The False Prince and it was great. This is why I recommend, think about it. And often they'll ask, what does literacy look like to you? What does a reading program look like to you? Balanced literacy is always a good answer, okay? To know that we want shared reading, we want independent reading, we want read alouds, we want kids writing by themselves, we want to do shared writing, we want to do all those different things, we want to balance our literacy. Always a good answer if you're looking for, she traded with him for horses to help the team cross the mountains. The team kept riding west to the ocean. There they built a fort for the winter. It was in Oregon. Ooh, I can see Sarah's hand on her head. What question did we answer?
Where does it take place?
Where does it take place?
Oregon.
Oregon. It has changed the location a little bit, hasn't it? But this one definitely taking place in Oregon. Nice job. The winter was wet, long, and cold. Food ran low. Luckily, they learned of a dead whale, Sacagawea and the men found it on the beach. They ate the meat. Let's do one more. Home sweet home. In March 1806, the team headed home. Sacagawea knew a short way through the mountains. She showed them this path. In August, she arrived home. The team had traveled for 16 months. They had covered thousands of miles. Lewis and Clark said farewell, then went on to St. Louis. Sacagawea had a baby daughter soon after getting home. Then this brave young woman died. No one knows how. Clark took in her children after she died. He called the boy Paul. That means leader in the language of Sacagawea's original tribe. Okay, with kids, I'd go again over the caption, would continue, would finish the story. What did you notice? What was I doing as you guys were listening and reading? And what was I doing?
Make sure we're engaged.
Did you see, I'm not holding still. You should never be sitting and reading to the kids when it's shared reading. Now read aloud, absolutely. It's the best time of the day. It's so much fun. But what was I doing? I was trying to just see, are they on the right page? You'll have kids that are flipping the pages and they're not on task. And you can just quietly, tap them and keep going. You don't have to do that. If you're still, you have no idea who's with you or not. Can kids totally fake it? They're so good at faking it. It's like, I'm quiet and I'm looking and they're not with you at all. And we really want them to follow along so they're seeing, like Sean talked about, pausing at the commas, stopping at the periods, hearing the fluency and going over those different things. Okay? So you guys, we're going to do a little comprehension activity and I'm going to need a brave volunteer. Oh, come on. You guys are brave, aren't you? Okay, come on up, Brooklyn. Okay, we're going to do a little fun activity. It's called walking through the story, a good comprehension activity. This is one that I don't know that you want to take hula hoops with you, but this is so much fun in your class. Now, I'm going to ask that you don't jump. Kids will like to jump from one hoop to the other, but this is concrete and I'm going to put paper on it. I don't want you to slip and hit your head, okay? So, we're going to ask Brooklyn to walk through the story, and kids, obviously, they all want to do it. So someone, I want you to think in your head, who is the someone? And you might have different answers, that's okay. Wanted, what did they want in the story? But, what happened? So, what happened then? And then, how did we finish up, okay? So I want you to talk with your partner for a second. You can talk with your partner too if you want, Brooklyn. And talk really quick. Someone wanted, but, so, then. What would you do to tell us about this story? I'll give you 1 minute. Talk to your partner. Okay, all right, we're going to see what Brooklyn's got. Come on up, Brooklyn. And as the teacher, or with older kids that have to be partners, and I would be your partner, peer partner, but as the teacher of younger kids, I'd say, okay, Brooklyn, go ahead, jump in the first one. Who is our someone?
Lewis and Clark is our someone.
Okay.
Yes.
What did they want?
They wanted to explore the West.
Excellent. But what happened?
But they couldn't speak the language.
Oh dear, that is a problem.
Yeah.
So
they took Sacagawea.
Oh, then what happened?
So then they went exploring.
Not give her a round of applause. This is always so fun. Thank you, Brooklyn. Did anybody have a different someone wanted but so then? Any differences at all? Yeah, Mads, you did. Will you come up? Will you do it for us? This happens with kids all the time, but at first they think, oh no, I must have done it wrong because Brooklyn's really smart and she got that, I probably have it wrong. But you showed there's lots of different ways to think through different characters. So I'll be your peer partner. Go ahead and jump in. Someone. Who's our someone?
Sacagawea and Lewis and Clark.
Oh, okay. What did they want?
They wanted to explore the West.
But what happened?
But a storm hit and their boat tipped over.
Keep going.
So Sacagawea saved all the papers. Then they completed their journey.
Oh, yeah, give her a round of applause. Great job. And kids love to do this. They love to write run through the story. And they, like I said, they get skipping. They're like, they're doing it like as fast as they can. And it's scary to do. Don't slip on the paper. Okay, sometimes this, and I saw it in a CKLA lesson, I was out with a student teacher, and they were supposed to do beginning, middle, and end. Has anyone seen that yet with your story? So you just adjust this just slightly. You get rid of a couple of them. That was a better kick than I thought it was going to be. And you just use 3. And you're going to do the exact same thing, and you let kids run through the story. Okay, so we have the beginning, the middle, and the end. I'll give you 1 minute. Talk to your partner. What happened in the beginning? What happened in the middle? What happened at the end?
In the beginning, what's still on the yes, so still someone walked in the middle.
That is
I envisioned
Okay, I need a brave volunteer. A brave volunteer to come tell us, run through the story and do beginning, middle, and end. And as much as we loved Brooklyn and Mads, we're going to ask somebody else to do it because they've already gotten to run through the story.
I'll do it.
Come on up, Sam.
This is Amanda's
Hey, that's okay. And you want to, hey, I want you to notice that, you guys. This is a great teaching strategy. Sometimes kids are a little timid. We're going to pretend that Sam's timid. Pretend, okay? And she's a little bit nervous. What if I do it wrong, right?
Yeah.
What if I say it wrong? I don't want to look dumb in front of my peers. So I always will tell kids, you can share your idea or something that your neighbor said. They're completely safe because it's like, well, I talked about it with my neighbor. I'm not alone in being wrong. So I love that you said that. It might go ahead.
Okay,
Beginning, middle, and end.
First, they wanted to go exploring. So then they took Sacagawea with them, and then she died.
Oh, that was sad, wasn't it? I know. Right. So give her a round of applause. Nice job. So you guys get kids up, get them moving with comprehension. It shouldn't always be read the story, answer these questions. Read the story, answer these questions. We're not going to do that today. We're going to do a lot of different comprehension strategies. The student that I went out and saw that was doing beginning, middle, and end, she had this paper, and I actually scanned it and uploaded it to the drive that says, I think it says, ideas shared in class. If you want to print this out and do something like this, that's a great idea. She had them write down, just quick, briefly, 1 sentence, what happened in the beginning, what happened in the middle, what happened in, and make a comic strip about what happened in it. Those kids, I think it was 3rd grade, it might have been 2nd. I think it was 3rd grade, it might have been 2nd. But anyway, they loved it. You should have seen them coming up with their comic strips. They absolutely loved it. I said, do you have a page in their CKLA notebook that they were supposed to do? And she said, yeah, but my mentor let me do something different. They were so excited to do something different. It was awesome. So we're going to do something with this story that, did I give you one? Yes. That we didn't finish on purpose. You guys, I didn't go all the way through it on purpose so that some of you would have a chance to do something great with this. I'm going to give your group, and I'll tell you your group in just a second, a comprehension strategy to do with this article, okay? It's going to be something, some of you might think, oh, that's really easy. Some of you might think it's a little bit more challenging. Some of you might think, I'm not as comfortable doing that one as others. We want you to try just so you get used to different ways to do that. Using your article, we're going to get a group. Let's say that these 4 are my group. When we get our strategy, we're going to figure out how am I going to teach that to someone else using this article. Does that make sense? Okay, the last question is, how would the strategy help increase comprehension? I want you to talk about that with your group, and then you're going to go get in groups of 3 and teach each other the strategy using the article that we did. Now, I didn't go to the last page on purpose, so if you get to that and you think, well, this might be something that my group needs to do, then we want you to look at that last page. Okay, who's got a number 1? Okay, number 1, you're going to get together, just come right here in the back, and you're going to do visualize and draw is your strategy, okay? I've got paper out if you need it. Who are my number 2s? 2s, why don't you come over here? Most of you will have you acting out a scene. Who's my number 3 or 4? 3s or 4s. When you come to this side, we'll have you do text preview. Okay, text preview. Okay, I'm going to give you about 2 minutes. Come up with what can we use with this article to show that comprehension strategy. Sorry. No, you're good. Hey, y'all. Yeah. 3 4s. 3 4s.
Nobody has to.
Close your eyes. You read to them, and they'll picture it, and then they draw it. Okay. It says to go ahead and show what passage or passage. Pay attention to what characters say, what's happening in the story, sentences, open your eyes, and you can use prompts to it. How would allow students to actualize the story every single. I think it'll help them sort out details they wouldn't have originally like focused on. Yeah, that really like. And then like closing your eyes helps you find them. I think So do we have what do we have to do? And then tell them that. Yeah, that could be, I like that one a lot. That's a good one.
I also really liked this one, but then it talks about hashtags.
And then they'll just have a
Very long trip could also be good for like visualizing because it's like the winter was wet and the storm and low that comes as well, like
the horses,
mountains, ocean, like there's a lot going on, so you can kind of
built
see
a
where
fort, yeah. Oregon, if they even know what Oregon looks like. Dead whale, you draw a fun dead whale. Depending on the grade level, I think they really like that. But those are both really good.
Just know how you're going to teach it to your group.
So that's it? Okay, cool.
You guys ready?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to give you 20 more seconds. You're going to take turns, and this dolphin's going to say, this is our strategy, this is what I want you guys to do for comprehension. Then this dolphin's going to say, this is our strategy, this is what we would do for comprehension. Then this dolphin, I can't remember who it is going to say, this is our strategy, okay? So dolphins get together, hot air balloons, hold them up.
Hot air balloon.
Okay, you guys, sorry, you're doubled. Hot air balloons, you'll get together, hold it up if you are a rock climber. Excellent, hold it up if you are a river rafter. And I don't remember which one I've skipped. Snowboarder. Okay, find your group, decide who wants to go first. You've got about 5 minutes, go through all 3 strategies with your group.
I know, yeah, of course. Snowboard. Anytime. Rock crawler, kind of climbing. Snowboarder.
Well, there's two
So you have the students close their eyes and you read the story, and as you read the story you ask them to visualize what is being read. And so then after the story is over they open their eyes and they draw.
I want you to actually do the strategy with your group. You make them do it. Make them do it. Make them visualize, make them act it out, do it.
I'm gonna go grab some.
And then she comes back.
So close your eyes while you have one process and while you visualize what's happening. So their trip began in April 1805. Sacagawea was the only woman on the team. Her baby son came to life. A month later, the story told under the boat's tip. Rolls and paper. Sacagawea grabbed them and she safely knowledge like the boss. You can open your eyes and draw in detail what you visualize when I read.
Nice. Then it turns winter and it's hard and it's terrible. Yeah, and it's Pacific Northwest and then it's miserable and then it comes back. So that's what they, what is your?
So you're going to visualize what I'm telling you. Very long trip. Team reached her old job. Her brother was she has a happy program. And her base was the team provided west to the ocean. There,
Yeah. On the one next to a very long trip, they learned to fold, and there were a lot of videos, and then found it on the EC's plan.
30 more seconds.
And they're in the
Only done, but this is weird. Here's one of the captains captains.
I'll say Clark.
Right?
So mine was.
And they're floating on the water. That's as far as I can.
I love it.
Mine, lots of papers thrown about in the water on her boat. There's lightning. All the boys are freaking out. She's like, stay calm. She's holding the baby and then has like this piece of like important knowledge.
I really like that.
Thank you.
Illustration of like really freaked me out, but she has her sanity. She's
Like, stay calm.
Tipped over, they're all in this boat. They're in the water. Some of the babies are chilling because she's standing.
I forgot that the boat was like actually tipped over.
Okay, good work, friends. All right, next one.
And then, yeah, basically just
Mine is act out a scene. So we did the same like section, and so just show me how you would act out that scene of the boat tipping over, the storm, and singing all the babies.
And then you have like Lewis Clark just kind of, they fell. So he has the winner.
That's my illustration.
Okay. There's a lot of paper.
What kind of paper do they have?
I know.
Was it like sturdy paper or like? Ours. Yeah, that's why.
Why would a picture walk help students and go through those different things? What did you talk about? Why would that be beneficial? Say it again, Amanda, hang on just 1 second, because I have the hardest time here. But say that again.
So we went over all the details of the story.
Went over the details, yeah, and especially this timeline, I skipped that on purpose so that you'd have a chance to look at it. When kids kind of know these are the events that are coming, and they can look for that in the story, give them kind of a preview, it really helps their comprehension, like, oh yeah, I know what's going to happen next. Oh yeah, that did happen next, and they really get a good feel for it. The pictures also, if you go through the pictures, they're wondering, I wonder what a baby has to do with, the story, and they're looking for that as you read the story. I always, on informational text, on nonfiction, I always would do a picture walk every time because it really does help kids connect, well, this is what's coming. It's sort of easy to tune out if you're like, I don't know what's going to happen, I'm not that interested. But if I know, looking right here, that her and her brother are reunited and I'm waiting for that, then I'm looking for that in the story. That's something that I can look for. What about the visualizing and drawing? How did that help you with comprehension? What do you guys think? Yeah, Astrid.
You get like the senses, like how did they feel? How did you like? What did you see? And once you draw it out and like you share about like this is what I felt or what I saw.
Right. And are you and I necessarily going to visualize it and draw it the same way? No, and if we get to talk about that, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that part and that stood out to you. This is what stood out to me. And she's like, oh yeah, and kids all the time want to go back and add to their picture. That's okay, it just helps their comprehension. But if they just have to listen to it all the time and they don't get to ever kind of get that visual in there, it's tough to comprehend. Yes?
I think you could also, like, with their pictures, kind of assess their background knowledge. Like, maybe some
100%.
kids just really don't understand what happened in the 1800s.
Right.
Like, they've got I don't know, they drew a phone in it or something.
Right.
Okay, no.
I had
Talk about it.
Yes, I had a student teacher once, it wasn't this story, and she did a fantastic lesson. And the term canoe kept coming up. It was about a Native American tribe, canoe. And she had to do something similar with it. And about 3 kids were like, I don't have a clue what's a canoe? And she's like, oh, just a small boat. And oh, okay. But it really does help you understand that background knowledge of this is what they do know, this is what some kids don't know, and that's okay. They all come from different backgrounds. What about the acting out? I hear some giggles. What do you guys think? What do you think about the acting out? How would that help with comprehension? Yeah.
I think for especially the lower grades, for them to have to think and act it. Oh, let's see. Yeah, they went in the canoe. So what? Well, I have to paddle it. Oh, it tipped over, and it just brings it to life because you're using more senses other than just the hearing.
Absolutely, yes.
My mom taught 9th grade English for years, and she had them act out Shakespeare every
Absolutely.
single year,
Yeah.
and every year those
kids went into high school and they knew so much about Shakespeare
Yep.
and stuff because of that.
It's beneficial from kindergarten till you're dead. I mean, honestly, acting out is one of those things that, like, you really have to think, what would the people be doing? What were they doing? What were they seeing? How would they have responded? It is so good. From birth to death, it's good to help with comprehension. Was there another hand over
Yeah, I
there?
was just basically gonna say that it puts you like in their shoes, and I feel like you can read about it, but like there's just, I don't know, it's like you're basically playing pretend.
Right.
Like you're like pretty much pretending that you're in that situation,
And-
which gives it a
Yes.
totally different perspective.
And kids love it. One of the funniest things I've ever seen is 6th grade boys just getting into this acting, and they are pumped about it, and they're doing voices, and they want props, and it's like, no, we're not quite ready because I can say that better. Give me 2 minutes, I can practice this better. And then they're performing for each other. They love it. They love it, you guys. And it really does keep that comprehension going. So, this was great. You did really good comprehension strategies. I'm going to do a bunch more with you because comprehension is huge. The things that we need kids to learn and comprehend. And we're going to go through, and I'm going to do these fast and furious. I want you to know I would not go this fast with children because it would be frustrating for them. But I want to give you a little taste, okay? We've talked a ton about using picture books for different things. And some of you, that's not due for 3 more weeks, your picture books. Some of you had great ideas, I don't remember who now. In the Big Five, they're like, I've used this picture book before. Oh my goodness, use that, take it. Take picture books with you to Canyons, take them with you to GWA. Throw them in your backpack at Iron County if you ever feel like I might be down and my teacher might step out and I need something else to do. I'm going to go through some strategies with you. This is in no way comprehensive of all the strategies that there are, but often picture books will help teach a strategy better than anything. I always use this one, I'll show you in just a minute. And then I could say, when we were inferring, do you remember when we read The Sweetest Thing? Oh yeah, and it really sticks with them. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. One of the best 6th grade teachers I ever saw used a picture book before every single introductory lesson to help kids understand. Those kids ate it up. We know younger kids love it. We know older kids love it. So first we're going to talk about inference, okay, or inferring. This is one of the hardest comprehension things for kids. It comes up all the time. So inferring is taking what we read, adding it to what you know, what you think in your head, and then we make an inference. It is not a prediction, okay? What we read, what we know, and then we say, this is what I think. So I'm going to tell you this little story. This is called The Sweetest Pig, one of the greatest books, you guys, that will help teach you different concepts. So it might be one you want to think about getting some time. And I'm just going to summarize the beginning so that we can get going. There's this man named Bibo, and he has OCD like you can't believe. Everything's in its proper place, and he's not very kind to his dog, which is a theme that comes up in the story, which is not very fun. He is a dentist, and one day this lady comes in. I'm going to walk around so you can see. This lady comes in, and she's got this really bad toothache, okay, really bad toothache. And can you please help me? And so he says, you don't have an appointment. And she's just, it just hurts so bad. And he says, well, I could use a few extra francs. This takes place in France. I could use a few extra francs. Okay. So he says, this tooth has got to come out. So he pulls the tooth out, but when he's done, the dentist says, I'll give you some pills to kill the pain. Okay? And this is where I really want you to pay attention to the pictures and what we're reading. The old woman was very grateful. I can't pay you in money. I have something much better. She took 2 figs from her pocket and handed them to Bibo. Figs, he said angrily. These figs are very sweet, the woman whispered. They can make your dreams come true. She winked at him and put a finger to her lips. It was clear to Bibo that the woman was crazy. He set the figs down and took her by the arm. When she reminded him about the pills, he said, I'm sorry, only for paying customers, and shoved her out the door. So I want you to think, I'm seeing an older woman. She's got kind of some crazy hair, and she's telling him that something is magical. So I've read that in there. What do I think? What do you think in your head about an old woman? She's got kind of some crazy hair, and she's telling him that she has something magical. What are you thinking about? Talk to your neighbor. What does that make you think about? Okay, what do you know? What do you guys know about a woman maybe with crazy hair? She's an older woman, and she's telling them that she's got magic. What does that tell you about the woman? What do you know? There's not any wrong answers. There may be more correct than others, but there's not any wrong answers. Sure.
So you could compare it to like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Oh, so that reminds me of the witch in the Snow White and Seven Dwarfs. I know there's somebody that might seem a little bit crazy and be saying that something's magical. I know that might be a witch, okay? So what can I infer? I've read that. I think that reminds me of, I know that that's sort of witch-like behavior. So what can I infer about this story? Do I think that those figs might really be magical? Yes, and I have to make that inference. She really does have magic figs. He didn't take her serious, and she really does. Did it say she really does have magic figs, and he didn't take her serious? Does it say that? No, but that's what we're teaching kids to do, to infer. Does that make sense? So we can use that. We're going to use the same book to make a prediction. Grab one of the sticky notes that you've had, and now we're going to make a prediction. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this story we've already inferred, but now we're going to do a prediction, and I would not do this on the same day. Kids will get confused between prediction and inferring if you do it the same day, but you guys, we're going to do it. So that evening, he mistreats his dog again. He barely gives him anything to eat. He's pulling him on his leash. He's not a very nice man. And he goes to eat, and at the very end, he thought, well, I guess I'll have to eat one of these darn figs that this woman gave me. And it was the sweetest fig he'd ever eaten. He ate it, and he went to bed. The next morning, he was dragging his dog down the stairs. Again, he's not very kind to that dog, and that really upsets the kids. And he starts going for a walk. And as they're going on this walk, and all of a sudden he realizes that people are staring at him. And he looks down, and oh my goodness, he's in his underwear. And how embarrassing. He had a dream like that last night, that when he was out for a walk, he was in his underwear, and everyone was looking at him. And he was really embarrassed. So he ran to the alley, and he said, "Sacre bleu! What has happened to my clothes?" And he remembered his dream. Something else had happened in his dream, and Bible struggled to recall it. Marcel, which is the dog, looking out from the shadows of the alley, began to bark. The dentist looked up, and the rest of his dream was coming true. And you can see in his dream what's happening to the Eiffel Tower. So he runs home. I want you to make a prediction. What's going to happen next? Make a prediction. Write it down on your sticky note. Oh, I should have read this to you. Bible understood now that the old woman had told him the truth about the figs. He would not waste the second fig. So what's going to happen next? Make a prediction. Okay, and with kids, we usually talk about a prediction, something that could happen. We want to make sure that it could happen. If you're reading a book about Hatchet, it's about, mostly true story, and all of a sudden their prediction is that aliens will come down and suck the guy into, probably not, okay? But what could happen? When you've got it done, just give me a thumbs up that you've written your prediction. Give everyone just like 20 more seconds. I'm going to have you share your prediction with your partner. Okay, go ahead and tell them, what's your prediction? Okay, let's hear some predictions. What do you think is going to happen? And like we tell kids, there's no wrong answer because we don't know what's going to happen next. We haven't read it yet. Who's got a prediction? Go ahead.
Me and my partner had the same. We said that he's going to eat the fig when he gets home.
He's going to eat the fig. Do you have any prediction about what's going to happen next?
Something good will happen.
Something good? Any other predictions? Yeah.
I think he's going to go home. Well, he's going to eat the next fig, and then he's going to try to take a nap, and he's going to try to have the best dreams of his whole life.
Okay. So, he's going to try and control that?
Yeah.
Okay. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
I wish.
Any other predictions? These are great predictions. Amanda?
So he knows that the magic is real, and he's going to organize the world and learn to love his dog for helping him understand the magic.
Oh, okay. So the dog's going to get some love. Poor dog, right? So far in the story. Okay, normally I tell the blocks people, you have to read it to find out, but I'll already tell you because they about killed me last semester. So he goes home and he tries to train himself to think of what he wants it to be in his dream for nights. He doesn't eat the fig. He's training his brain. Every night he's going to have this dream, and he wants to be the richest man on earth because he's kind of a little stingy guy. And he dreams about that night after night, so he thinks it's finally time. I can finally eat this fig. I'm going to have this dream. I've trained myself to have this dream. And that evening he was getting ready to eat the fig, and so he could have the dream, and he tells his little dog, I'm going to get rid of you and get a Great Dane because, you know, you're just this pitiful little dog and the richest man in the world should have a better dog than you. Not very kind man to his dog. And he turns around to get something out of his cupboard, and the dog eats the fig. Okay? The dog eats the fig. And he is so furious, and he's chasing the dog, and he's screaming at the dog, and the dog, of course, goes to hide, and Bible yells at him, tomorrow I'll teach you a lesson you'll never forget. And then he goes to sleep. He's so angry. He's heartbroken, and he's angry, and he goes to sleep. And the next morning, when he woke up, okay, you guys can't see, but when he woke up, Bible was confused. He was not in his bed. He was beneath it. Suddenly a face appeared in front of him. His own face. Time for your walk, it said. Come to Marcel. A hand reached out and grabbed him. Bible tried to yell, but all he could do was bark. So the dog had dreamed that they would switch places. And the kids think that is hilarious, and you know, that justice was served and all those different things. So that was great. So one thing to do, use picture books to do predicting and inferring, okay? Let's look at cause and effect. This is something that comes up a ton in all different grades, cause and effect. This is a little cause and effect cycle that I use to help my kids understand it. So the cause, so, effect, because, and I'll show you what this is. So I'd tell them, what did you do this morning? Who can tell me one thing that you did this morning? Anybody? Yeah, Judith.
Got my kids up for school.
You got your kids up for school. So, okay, let's do it with Judith. Are you ready, Judith?
Sure.
You got your kids up for school, so what happened?
They were able to get to school on time.
They were able to get to school on time. They were able to get to school on time because you got your kids up for school. You can tell me another thing you did this morning.
I let my dog outside.
You let your dog outside. Okay. You let your dog outside. I'm going to start this way. You let your dog outside because why?
She had to go to the bathroom.
Oh, your dog had to go to the bathroom. Your dog had to go to the bathroom, so you let your dog outside this morning, okay? And we go to things that kids always say. I brushed my teeth. Why? Because my breath stinks. Oh, your breath was stinky, so you brushed your teeth. You know, they think it's hilarious. These books, have you guys seen all of these by Laura Numeroff? And there's a whole bunch of different ones. These are so fun to go through and do with kids and help them understand cause and effect. After you do this, then as you're reading another book, you can say, let's look for a cause and effect relationship like, and if you give a moose a muffin, or whatever that is. So usually we make a T-chart, and I'll hurry and do that, even though there's one up there. You got cause and effect on either side, okay? I'm going to read this to you, and then we're going to stop and see if we can identify a cause or effect and use the cycle for it, okay? Which one did I pick? Give a moose a muffin. If you give a moose a muffin, he'll want some jam to go with it. Is there a cause and effect relationship there? Who can tell me what would that be?
You gave him a muffin, he wants jam.
You give him the muffin, so he wants jam. He wants jam because you gave him the muffin. So we write down on our, and again I would go much slower to kids, cause I give a muffin. And the effect is wants jam, okay? So after we've done 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, you know, however many you feel like your kids need, then it's really fun to give kids a book. And I'm going to say, okay, I want you 3 to use this one. Hang on really quick. We'll have you 3 do this one. Okay? You 3 do this one. We'll have you 2 do this one. We'll have you 2 do this one. And we'll have you 3 do this one. Okay? So what I want you to do is on a scratch piece of paper, you can use the other sticky note, make a quick T-chart. Together you're going to read through this book and stop and see how many cause and effect relationships can you find. I usually give kids like 10 minutes. We're going to give you guys 1 because we're in fast forward mode, okay? So one person's going to be reading it, the others will be writing cause and effect relationships. Okay? Any questions before we begin? Okay, ready, set, go. We've got 1 minute.
You take him out to school. If you take him out to school,
He'll probably ask for a straw. When you give him your lunchbox, he'll want a sandwich.
Some bubbles. When you give her.
When he and a snack, then he'll need a notebook and some pencils. When you get to school, he'll get some boxes. So he'll probably might do a little math.
$5 word or two. He'll even try a science experiment. Then he'll need to wash out his finished erase himself, put him to the want of room to sleep up. Once he's nice and clean, he'll start sleeping. He puts his he'll be ready for his lunch. On the way to the lunchroom, he'll see some building blocks. He might get carried away and see every room in the house. And make some furniture out of clay. Then he'll need some books for his bookshelf. I start by writing what it is. He'll need a lot of paper. He may even end up lacking support. He'll probably use all your pencils. When he's finished, he'll walk.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to stop right there. Obviously with kids, you give much more time to you guys. I feel a lot. Much more for the whole book. But I'm gonna point to each group. Who would like to go first? Oh, come on, don't all speak at once. Yeah, go ahead, Brooklyn.
Our moose walked outside and it was cold, so he needed a sweater.
Oh, okay. He needed a sweater because it was cold outside. It was cold outside, so he needed a sweater. Nice. Okay, who's got another one? Yes.
Ours was, the pig wanted a pancake, so we gave her some syrup.
Ooh, okay, the pig wanted a pancake, so he gave some syrup. He gave some syrup because the pig wanted a pancake. Nice. Who's got another one? Yes.
The mouse built a mouse house, and then he had bookshelves in the house, so he needed books to fill the bookshelf.
Okay, so the mouse had bookshelves in his house, so he needed books to fill those shelves. He needed books to fill those shelves because he built bookshelves in his house. Nice one. He's got another one. Go ahead.
The mouse looked in the mirror and noticed that his hair needed a trim, so he got some nail scissors and cut his hair.
Ooh, okay, so he noticed he needed a trim, so he got some scissors out. He got some scissors out because he needed a trim. You see, I have to repeat that over and over. Pretty soon, kids get that down over and over and over. I'm not gonna make the rest of you do it. But one thing, you can use this with anything, but it really helps with comprehension. And if you need to, I mean, this works with management a lot. Man, you guys, we better go through the cause and effect cycle because we had a problem running back from music. You know, we were running back from music. We ran back from music, so what happened? Oh, they made us turn around and walk back and do it again. We had to turn around and walk back and do it again because we ran, and they start realizing it not only in books, but in their own behavior, and they get really, really good at it. This will help you, the cycle, okay, the cause and effect cycle. Just leave those books there, we'll come back to it in just a second. So that's one thing, cause and effect, you see that in almost every grade level in the standards to understand cause and effect, because it is tough for kids, and it really does help them comprehend better. Connections, this is a fun one. Connections, obviously, we do this naturally as adults most of the time. But when we read something, we connect it to something in our own world. Oh, that happened to me. Oh, that makes sense. I did that, or my friend did that, or whatever. Text-to-text connection is when I read it and I go, man, that reminds me of Harry Potter. I read something like that when I was reading Harry Potter, another text, okay? And text-to-world is one where you can connect it to something you've seen in the news, you've heard about, you know is happening in other places. Okay, so with your last sticky note, or if you need another one, grab another one. I want you to, as I'm going to read 3 pages in this book, My Rotten Red-Headed Older Brother, okay? I want you to look for a connection, and you can wait till the end to write it, you can write it at the beginning. Either a text to self, a text to text, or a text to world. So, hey, that reminds me of something that happened in my own life. A text to text, hey, that reminds me of another book that I've read. Or a text to world, that reminds me of something that happened in the world, okay? Now with kids, I have them stick it right in the book. So they're actually sticking their sticky notes right in the book so that when we come along, we can go, oh, so-and-so thought this at this point. We can talk about comprehension. I don't have a bunch of these books, so you're going to just do it on your sticky note, okay? All right, my brother and our mother and I all lived with my grandparents on their farm in Union City, Michigan. Now my babushka, my grandmother, knew lots of things. She knew just how to tell a good story. She knew how to make ordinary things magical. She knew how to make the best chocolate cake in Michigan. After she told my brother and me a grand tale from her homeland, would always say, Bobby, is that true? She'd answer, of course it's true, but it may not have happened. Then she would laugh. Oh, sorry, I skipped a page. Now, I knew that she loved me all right, but I couldn't quite understand how she could even like my older brother, Richard. He had orange hair that was like wire. He was covered in freckles and looked like a weasel with glasses. The one thing that my Bubby didn't seem to know was how perfectly awful my brother really was. Mind you, he was always nice whenever she was around us, but as soon as she'd leave, he would do something terrible to me and laugh. Okay, go ahead and write down a text to text, a text to self, or a text to world connection. And like I said, normally we'd stick them right in the book, wherever that was, but. Okay, will you raise your hand if you did a text to self? Look at all those hands. That's the one that's easiest for kids too. You guys, it really is. Maybe you're going, man, my older sister, she's always nice when people are around, but she's rotten the minute the adults leave or whatever. Kids can relate to that. They can relate to a grandmother that cooks some really good food. They can relate to, let's see, listening to stories from your grandparents. They can relate to a lot of different things. Okay, maybe that was something that you did. Who did a text to text? Do you want to share it with us?
Sure. I did Harry Potter.
Yep.
With Percy. Because
Yep.
he reminds me of like a weaselly guy who's nice to adults but like horrible.
That is the number one text to text that kids in my class always did too, was he's got red hair and he's an older brother and it's like the Weasleys. And I mean, they really did the text to text. That was a good one. Did anyone do a text to world? Did you have any text to world connections? This one's the hardest one for kids, and sometimes you have to bring it in. So something like when it talks about their farm in Michigan, you can talk about, hey, I saw a story on the news about Michigan, and this is what's happening in Michigan or something, and then they can kind of connect. That's one that you have to really prompt kids with. You have to really help kids with, because they don't often watch the news or read articles like adults do. So, but that's a good one, text to text. You can do that with almost any book. This is a fun one because kids can make a lot of connections with it. Questions about connections? Okay, we're going to move really fast. This is possibly my favorite one. Next, visualizing. Now you sort of did this. We're going to do this in a different way. Okay, I'm going to use two different books to do this one. And this time, I want you to close your eyes. I'm going to read one page out of this book called Owl Moon. And I want you to actually feel what's happening in the book. Not just visualize, but I also want you to feel it. Okay? So close your eyes. Everyone's got to close your eyes. It won't work if you don't close your eyes. Here we go. We walked on. I could feel the cold, as if someone's icy hand was palmed down on my back. And my nose and the tops of my cheeks felt cold and hot at the same time. But I never said a word. If you go owling, you have to be quiet and make your own heat. Okay, open your eyes. I want you to think, normally when you're doing this in kids and you say that part, someone put their icy palm on your back and you see kids. You know, they're like, oh, that's cold. And they really can feel it. You've got to really help them feel it. When you have those good sensory words in books, tell them, you know what, close your eyes, and see what you're feeling and describe to someone what you're feeling. And then pretty soon it comes back to a connection. That reminds me of when I was sledding and I was so cold, and they get talking about it. Does that help them understand the book better? Absolutely. Okay, we're going to do something fun. I need you to take a can of Play-Doh and then pass it around so that everybody has one. This is a fan favorite with 4th and 5th graders, but you're going to actually mold. We're going to visualize, and you're actually going to mold what we're seeing in the book, okay? So you can take it out of the container, you can kind of get it nice and soft and roll it between your hands. And I'm going to read you a passage, I guess, not the whole chapter, a passage from chapter 6, I believe, in Hatchet. Now, in this part, he's going to describe kind of a cliff that he's hoping to make a shelter from. I wouldn't do this coldly with kids. We would have already been reading this, and then they would know that it's coming up. He's going to need a shelter. Okay? Did someone step out? Do you want to grab one? Just in case she comes back. So again, it wouldn't be cold. Okay? So the first time, I'm just going to have you rolling this between your hands. And I want you to close your eyes as I'm reading this to you. And I want you to think about what it would look like. The second time I read it, I'll let you open your eyes and you're going to actually mold this with the Play-Doh. Okay? All right, let's see. Using the sun and the fact that it rose in the east and set in the west, he decided that the far side of the northern side of the ridge, was the northern side of the ridge, excuse me. At one time, it was far past it, had been scooped by something, probably a glacier. And this scooping had left a kind of sideways bowl back in under a ledge. It wasn't a very deep not a cave, but it was smooth and made the perfect roof, and he could almost stand in under the ledge. He had to hold his head slightly tipped forward at the front to keep from hitting the top. Some of the rock had been scooped out, had also been pulverized by the glacial action, turning it into sand, and now made a small sand beach that went to the edge of the water in front and over to the overhang. Okay, so I want you to open your eyes. Using your clay this time, I want you to sculpt what Brian is seeing in this cliff, okay? And I'm going to read it again, and you're going to be sculpting it to show your partner. Using the sun and the fact that it rose in the east and set in the west, he decided that the far side was the northern side of the ridge. At one time in the far past, it had been scooped by something, probably a glacier, and this scooping had left a kind of sideways bowl back in under a ledge. It wasn't very deep, not a cave, but it was smooth and made a perfect roof, and he could almost stand in under at the ledge. He had to hold his head slightly tipped forward at the front to keep from hitting the top. Some of the rock that had been scooped out had also been pulverized by the glacial action, turned into sand, and now made a small sand beach that went down to the edge of the water in front and to the right of the overhang. Okay, when you've got your rock that we just described that Brian's looking at ready, then I want you to show your neighbor and tell him why you molded it that way.
Oh, wow, you're
Okay, does anyone want to show us your masterpiece? And of course, all kids want to show their masterpiece, but does anyone want to hold up and actually everyone just hold it up and show us your masterpiece?
I cannot pick it up. Mine is
that's okay. It's stuck to the table. Okay, why would this help them comprehend what's happening in this story better? What do you guys think?
They can visual, like they can see, oh, this is leading to the beach and this is the overhang that he has.
Right. And they can actually picture now him trying to live under that little overhang. Before that, it might just be a lot of words that you're like, what? A glacier scooped out what? And what does that look like? And how does that do anything? We're going to do one more. I did this with one class and it was hilarious. So we're going to see how you do. Go ahead and crumple up your Play-Doh. I'm not going to show you the picture. You can see this picture. But I'm not going to show you the picture inside because I want you to visualize and do it. This book, and we'll use it again when we're doing writing, this is a good mentor text for writing, but it's about a boy named Melvin Bubble, and it's different people describing him. So you're going to be molding a boy, okay? Just want you to be molding a boy. I'm going to read what his dad and his mom say, and I want you to mold the boy, and then I'm going to have you see if you want to change it when we read what someone else has to say about this, okay? So if you want to start molding your boy, you're welcome to. If you want to close your eyes and listen, you're welcome to. His dad has to say, Melvin, he's a real chip off the old block. Smart, handsome, popular, a great athlete. Now that I think about it, he's just like me when I was his age, okay? So go ahead and start molding. Melvin, he's a real chip off the old block. Smart, handsome, popular, a great athlete. Now that I think about it, he's just like me when I was his age. Okay? Keep molding. I'm going to read just what his mom says about it. You can hear the difference, but it won't really may not change your model. His mom says, do you see this? This is Melvin's sneaker. I found it under his bed in a box of crackers. I found his other sneaker on top of his lamp. I found his toothbrush in the sock drawer and his socks on the dog. Once I found his homework stuck to the wall with a piece of pizza. I love Melvin, but he may be the messiest boy in the world. So I just want to see your models of Melvin. I'll give you we got to do 30 seconds. See if you can do 30 seconds. Okay, 1 minute. 1 minute. And kids take this very seriously. You guys are I'm pretty impressed with your modeling skills.
I got the cool boy's hair. That's what I thought.
You got his cool hair?
Yeah. He's popular, right?
Hey, according to his dad, he is.
It's not working out.
It's beautiful.
Shapes. Need some arms. I love yours. I just did it with my head. Awesome. stealing that idea.
Not so good.
No, that looks like a good idea too.
Now it looks like a jack-o'-lantern.
Hey, it's how you visualize it. It's okay. It's okay.
Something Christmas. Can't remember.
Nightmare Before
Yes.
Christmas?
Yes, that one. His book.
I don't know what this is about. Okay.
I mean, we've got some artists. This is fantastic, you guys. Okay, will you kind of explain to your partner why did you make your person, why did you make Melvin the way you did?
Okay, so I'll go first. And he has crazy hair because his mom says he's messy. So I feel like his hair's got to be crazy, right? And I'm doing stick figure Melvin because he's athletic. So he's very slender. Yes, and has crazy hair.
Okay, so he's handsome, so I'm excited. And then his hair is crazy, so she said he's really messy. I tried to make a soccer ball, but he's like,
No judgment here. No judgment. One thing that you took from hearing his mom or dad talk about it, why you made Melvin the way that you did, okay? Just one thing that you did. Okay, you ready?
So he's got muscles because, you know, he's a chip off the old block.
Okay.
He has fancy swoopy hair.
Okay, why did you pick that?
Because it's the popular haircut.
Oh, it's popular, because it was like what the dad said, yes.
And I did crazy hair because he's really messy.
Yeah, his mom was talking about how messy he was, so that makes sense.
One shoe and one barefoot.
Oh yeah, one shoe and one barefoot, because his room, clearly he's lost his shoes, hasn't he? Nice, yeah.
A soccer ball with him because he's athletic.
Ooh, yeah, definitely. What's that?
I also did crazy hair.
For what reason?
He's messy.
Because he's messy, okay?
I did sometimes a sports ball too.
Okay, okay.
I did glasses because his dad said he was the smartest.
Yeah, so maybe he's got those intellectual glasses going. Very good, yes.
Crazy hair because he's just everywhere. He's
Okay.
everything.
His mom was a little fed up with him, wasn't it?
I did smile because he's like a happy kid.
Yeah, and if he's popular and he's, yeah, he's probably happy.
Athletic body shape, because he's an athlete.
Yeah, for sure, according to his dad, yes.
I did a number 10 on his shirt for his jersey.
Like a jersey?
Yeah.
Okay, because he's an athlete?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But athlete, but he is totally put together. His room is trash. Sorry, all my boys' rooms were trash. But I promise you,
But
when
he's
they
put
walked
together.
out that door, oh, they were there to impress the
Okay,
ladies.
okay, all right, he's popular, yes.
Only one shoe as well.
One shoe as well, yeah, because, clearly his shoes were all over his work, yes.
I did glasses as well.
Okay, because of what reason?
His dad said he was smart.
Intellectual, okay, yes?
I did one shoe.
One shoe. Okay, now I'm going to read the perspective from another character in the book, and I want you to change your model slightly depending on what they say. So you don't have to destroy it unless you want to, but change it slightly, okay? This is what the Tooth Fairy had to say about Melvin. Are you ready? The Tooth Fairy, yes. Because they interviewed everyone to get to know Melvin. Okay, this is what the Tooth Fairy had to say. I don't know if you've noticed, but that Melvin has a big head. And it's heavy. I mean, his head is huge. Once while I was doing my job, he rolled over and I was stuck under his pillow for 3 hours because his head was so big. I missed 8 appointments and lost my hat. By the way, he also snores. Okay, so I want you to adjust your model a little bit to think about what the Tooth Fairy had to say about him. Do you want me to read it again? You got it, right? Okay. I think he said So adjust your model slightly for this new perspective about Melvin.
I think it works.
Yeah.
It's so scary. It's fine.
You of you are still working on adjusting your model.
Yes.
Okay, will you tell your neighbor, what did you adjust and why?
So I added on
It's not
around the bottom. And then I like added I should have just brought
All right, who can tell us, what did you adjust in your model? Yes?
I changed the head, made the head bigger.
Made the head bigger. Did anyone do anything different besides make the head bigger? What did you do?
Now he has an open mouth smile because I feel like he's a mouth breather because he snores.
Oh, okay. And was one of his teeth out, or did he have all of his teeth?
That is to be
That's a
determined.
detail we haven't got to yet. Fair, that's fair. Okay, that's fair. You guys, how would this help kids comprehend a text? Are they going to remember this a lot better? They think this is so fun. I used Play-Doh for everything. I used it for math. I used it for science. I used it for social studies. I used it for language arts. I used it for everything. Did I use it when I taught 5th grade? Yes. Did I use it when I went and worked with 1st graders? Yes. You can make it a lot cheaper than in these little containers, but I was too lazy last night, so I ran and bought a bunch of containers. So you can. There's some things that you can use to do a lot of different things with. This really helps them. I want you to notice all of the comprehension strategies that we did today. Did I hand you a worksheet and say, fill this out, write it in, fill this out, write it in? Does that happen sometimes? Yes, but we know that is not the way that kids learn best. We know that that's not what is meaningful and relevant and lasting. So look for some fun ways to do some comprehension strategies. Just for the sake of, I'll let you leave the Play-Doh out for just a minute, but let's talk for a second about going to GWA. What's something that we talked about today or something that's come up with your peers that you feel like you could put in your bag of tricks and take with you to GWA or Canyons or wherever to help you if you get stuck when you're teaching language arts? Yes?
So I'm teaching 7th grade language arts, and we're working on narrative writing for next week. And so I really like the hula hoops because narrative writing is all about organization and telling the story in order. So I thought that was a really good strategy to use to get them to understand what narrative writing would look like.
Right, and there's a lot of, you can adjust this in a lot of different ways. You can start with the characters, go to the plot, go to the, a lot of different things. If you don't want to take hula hoops, I've seen a lot of people before, you just put a piece of tape and then you jump or make a box with tape and then they can go, on the front. You don't want to haul that with you to Washington County. That's an idea. What other ideas can you take with you to GWA or Canyons or anywhere?
Yeah, I'm doing kindergarten, so I liked the picture books one.
Yeah.
Definitely for just the stories and to stop and say, hey, tell me, what do you think? Prediction, guess.
Yeah.
This will end up.
They love it. And it's sometimes you get off on tangents and you're like, okay, we got to rein it back in. But it's so fun, and kids, if they can talk about it and they're excited about it, they're going to have a good time. What else? Yeah.
I like adapting the writing prompt because I'm also in kindergarten for GWA, so having them just tell stories to their peers.
Right, and a lot of times kids, and it depends on the teacher too, but they may not be used to complete freedom. You write whatever you want. They'll be like, how many paragraphs, how many sentences, how many, you just write. And it's so fun to see what kids can come up with. So there are funny ones. I know we've done Santa Claus. We just done Santa Claus in this one, or has there been another?
We've also done the kid with the shoes.
Oh yeah, and the kids with the shoes, there's some great ones. And they're really fun to just have in your back pocket. I would probably print it just in case you can't get online there. But you can always stick it under a document camera and shoot it up there and then tell the kids what you want. That's fun also. Sometimes you pick a story out of everyone's and you let them act it out too. Oh my goodness, those get fun because it's completely their imagination. And seeing that come to life they love it. They really love it. Any other ideas that you can take with you to GWA? Yes?
I really want to take some Reader's Theater. And have
I love Reader's Theater. We will get to that in here, but yeah, if you have Reader's Theater, that you can do for as long or as little as you want, and really make it their own. Good one. Someone over here.
I was going to say Reader's Theater, and I also like the closing your eyes, visualizing.
Yeah.
Whether it's with Play-Doh and manipulatives or just drawing it out.
Right.
That's super fun.
Right. And if you don't have a lot of time, even just closing your eyes and visualizing is good. Paper is less time, this is a lot more time. Kids will remember it and they love it. I didn't do this with you, you do have to set very specific expectations with things like Play-Doh. It doesn't go in your mouth, we're not stepping on it on the floor, it falls on the floor, we're picking it up. We're not throwing it at each other, we're keeping it ours. You've got to set those expectations. I did not do that with you for obvious reasons, but you do have to do that, even 6th graders. And it's got to be not going in your mouth because they think it's funny. So you've got to tell them. Okay, any questions about GWA that I can help you with? Yes?
Do you know what time we're supposed to be there and like?
Oh, did you guys get to talk to Blake last week?
No.
Oh, see, I was off with student teachers. I wasn't in. I'll find out. Well, Peggy tell you tomorrow or this afternoon. I'm not sure. But I need to know what he wants on the first day, is because they'll try and greet you and kind of show where you're going. That's a good question. We'll find out. Yes?
So she gave me a schedule. Can we look over it together just so
A schedule
I can
for-
better understand it? That my teacher gave me from GWA.
Sure. Do you mean like a daily schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be happy to look at it with you. That'd be fine. Okay, you guys, for the last few minutes, please put the Play-Doh back in the container. Close the lid. We will use these again for something in social studies. Because like I said, I use Play-Doh for everything. Throw them in and then pass it around. There is something that I'm hoping you're working on, and today is a great example of something that you can be working on. I know we talked about the binder, okay, the language arts binder. I want you to organize it however you want. I don't need it to be printed out. If you don't want to print it out, if you want to print it out, that's fine. I don't care either way. It can be electronic or not. But I'm hoping after every class, take some ideas, the ones that you would use. If you think Play-Doh might be a good one, write down comprehension with Play-Doh and modeling something. If you feel like, I want to do the hula hoop, I can't remember who said that, and have them walk through the story to help them get their bodies up physically moving. Make sure you're writing those things down. It is really hard at the end of the semester when everyone's going, what was that listening activity we did? Oh yeah, there was this listening activity where we had the paper and we moved around. Try and keep track of the things that you're doing along the way.